It's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, answering keyforge questions you never asked.
With Mortifus.
Hey gang, I hope you're doing well. Some of you may know that in the Crucible Chronicles Chapter 8, I'm working through the one-turn kill challenge, where I'm attempting to get all 3 keys forged on 1 turn. In starting that challenge, I was playing with one of my favorite AoA decks that has some kind of weird synergies. I guess as we can go, it has some weird synergies going on with it. And it got me thinking, how much Ember could that particular deck, the deck that I have set up here, generate in 1 turn? So I put out a post on Twitter and asked if people could kind of do their worst, see given the most ideal setup, how much Ember they could generate with this deck. So again, just to clarify, I'm not in a game. I've manual moded out the wazoo. So this is a very very clinical setup, if you will. So this is my kind of attempt on my own challenge. Not really a challenge, it was I guess a puzzle, if you will. Just to see how much Ember in the best case scenario I could generate with this deck. So let's get into it. This deck has a pretty bonkers Logos house. I will have a link to the actual deck list in the video description if you want to take a look at it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time looking at it right now. Suffice it to say, there's 3 Setterkins and a Replicator, so reaping is a really huge thing. But let's go ahead and hop into it. I will also call out that we've got this Soul Snatcher down here, which is pretty good for us, I will say. All right, let's get this going. I'm going to start by playing a poke. And again, this is best case scenario. I have essentially nothing in my draw pile, which interestingly enough with this deck, probably 2 out of 5 games this happens, where I have access to all my cards. Usually they're in my hand, but to make things a little bit more cleaner for you, I've stuffed a bunch of stuff in the archives. So we played the poke there. I'll go ahead and use the Library of Babel to pick back up the poke. We'll play the poke, and then we're going to play out the helper bots to play full moon. And then from there, we're going to reap with just a couple random creatures that don't have any specific abilities. So the reason that I'm doing this is that I need to basically get enough Ember for these Marmo swarms to be above the gub. So I'm actually going to reap with just one of these Titan Librarians. So throughout this kind of strategy or this process, I'm actually going to rule of 6, I think, at least 3 distinct cards. It's going to be the Helper Bot, the Sutterkins, and the Titan Librarian. So let's go ahead and get started here with the shenanigans. So I'm not going to reap with this Titan Librarian because I need to kind of preserve my Titan Librarian activations, and you'll see why in a second. But let me just make sure I got this sorted out right. Yeah, Helperbot has reaped, which I guess is really the important one. I have 5 Ember, so these Marmo Swarms have 7 health currently. 7 health, which puts them right above this Gub, who has 6 health. So then I'm going to standardize test, and I don't recall if I mentioned this, but the Soul Snatcher is out, so this is a really important part of the kind of burst of this deck, of this combination. So we've got 1s and 7s that are going to get killed with this standardized testing. So go ahead and play that. So that gives us, bursts us up to 11 Amber. So we're going to go ahead and reap with the Replicator, copy one of our Sutterkins to draw all of our cards back. And then we're going to play out the Helper Bot again. And then from there, we'll play another Full Moon. Should be good. And then we're going to standardize testing again. This time it's going to take the Helper Bot and the Gub. And I think actually if I have this right, I might be able to reap with this Titan Librarian, but we'll hold off on that. So we got the Helper Bot back down in our discard pile, so we'll reap again. Pick back all that stuff we just played. I think I actually missed playing a poke, but that's okay. We'll just keep playing the poke. Might be down at 1 ember. And from here, I'll tell you what. Let's play out the helper bot. Another full moon. I think we might have enough activations if I'm thinking about this right. So we have 2 more. 2 more. No, I think I actually want to hold off. So I'm actually going to standardize testing while this Titan Librarian is still alive. Which should give us 1s and 4s. Standardized testing is going to kill now. So that puts us up to 22. We'll reap again with the Sutterkin. All right, don't want to forget my poke. That's precious ember that we have. We'll play out the helper bot again. Play out another full moon, and then we do need to play one of our Titan Librarians. Otherwise, it's gonna kill the standardized testing. Will kill our Sutterkins, our remaining Sutterkin, which we're gonna use to reap. Then we'll standardize testing again and reap one last time. So I didn't mention this earlier, but underneath this Jargoggle is our Fuzzy Gruen, and there's a very specific reason why I've selected the Fuzzy Gruen to go down there. All right, so I think we've reaped, we played twice, is that right? I think we have 3 more Titan Librarian activations. Could be wrong on that. But we'll play the poke. We'll play out the helper bot to the right. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll play out. Do I do this? Titan Librarian, both Titan Librarians, or do I wait? Really wish I could remember how many I'd activated. I should have written this down. You know, that would be the way to do this. Set them both on the board. I reaped with 1. Killed both. I think I can play them, so I'm gonna play them for a cool. What's that? 4 ember each. And then we have an actual play off of our helper bot. So I'm going to play Hysteria off of the helper bot, which means we're going to lose the Fuzzy Gruen, which is totally fine. And then we got 1 more play off of this helper bot. So play that out, play 1 more full moon. And then we basically just play everything out. Play everything but the Titan Librarians out, I should mention. So we're going to play out a Pip Pip. We're going to play out a Sutterkin. We're going to play out a second Sutterkin, a 3rd Sutterkin. So we've just hit rule of 6 on Sutterkins. I think we actually also just hit rule of 6 on the helper bots. Play out the Replicator. We'll play out Jargoggle. And underneath Jargoggle, I'm going to put the Exhume. And that Exhume is going to give us a nice little burst at the end with the Fuzzy Gruen. And right now we've got 1s and 2s on the board. So we're going to go ahead and hit standardized testing to wipe the board. So that'll clear the board. The Fuzzy Gruen will get exhumed and played to the right. There you go. And then we go ahead and play our final 2. We'll see if we get both of them out there. We do. We got both of them. Nice. So there you have it. That's how I managed to do it, and we actually broke 100. We're at 106. I may have forgotten a poke in there, so possibly 107. But yeah, that's what I managed to get with this little challenge. If you can think of something a better way or something different I could have done to get more amber, then do let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this type of video, or you've got like maybe a deck that's got some really weird kind of wonky stuff that you want me to just sandbox, like in an environment like this where we can kind of try and optimize the setup for the deck and figure out just how potent it can be, do also leave that in the comments below. A link to your deck and maybe a brief description or something, and maybe if people enjoy this, I can make a series out of it or something. Anyways, thanks you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.